All right, we are live. Well, hello, Facebook land, and welcome to our pop-up live. It's me and Pastor Issac Jenkins, and I'll give him a minute to introduce himself before we go ahead and get started, and then I'll tell you guys a little bit about me.
Absolutely. Well, good evening to all of you, and again to I guess I'm her guest, and she's my guest also, to Miss Timberlake. I am so excited about this. This is our first time actually conversing, but I know it's going to be really, really good. I reside here in the city of Tyler, Texas, where I am the pastor of Taking Dominion Ministries. And my wife is Lamisa Harton Jenkins, and we've been pastoring here now for 16 years. I'm a life coach and spiritual father, pastor to a local church and those abroad. So just doing the work of the Lord and trying to assist people in our journey on this planet, and just empowerment, and just a person who really passionate about seeing people grow. And making contact with Crystal has just made my baby leap, because she's in that same vein. She's about empowering people with a positive message in a positive direction. And we know that there's enough negativity out here to write volumes of books, but there are some of us who choose not to participate. And so with that being said, I'm so honored to be here with you, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to share a little bit of the platform with you. And like you said, we're each other's guests. I know you invited me to do a little interview. So it looks reversed, but I'm really here for him and he's here for me. So thank you guys for tuning in, those of you guys that are here. And like you said, I am a life coach as well. In the same vein, like you said, you guys focus a lot on relationships and stuff like that. And I do as well. I actually do help women to heal the fragmented parts of themselves. So people who have gone through trauma, or who have had traumatic past, or just a hard process is what I like to say, really get back to their center and find the true identity, because sometimes we can get a filter over our eyes based on the things that we've been through in life, and it changes the way we show up in the world. And I'm really here to just help people step out into the bold being that God has created them to be, and really understand that their process is preparing them for their purpose. So that's what I do. And I really enjoy it. I've been doing life coaching unofficially for many, many years, but officially for a little bit over a year now. And it's been a really exciting journey just to really work with the clients and do what it is that I've always loved, but more on an official level, and really get my message out there. I've been a kind of person who has hung in the backgrounds for long enough, and the Lord has said, it's time. It's time. So here we are.
Well, just looking at your, going through your page and seeing what you do, and the value that you bring to people's lives is just inspiring all by itself, because you're on social media, I'm on social media, many different platforms, and everybody don't have the same goals, the same visions, the same dreams, but there are some of us who have been called out to make sure that we are the salt and the light. And so I appreciate you, and I really thank God for you being consistent even in that, because I know that you paid a price to be where you are. And I'm pretty sure your story is all up in your lessons and your travel, and being vulnerable, and all those different things. So today, that's what I want to talk about is what is your why? What is it that makes you get up out of the bed, continue to, sign up for this, especially when you're dealing with other people's issues, problems, emotions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is that makes you get up, having, as you've told me, a child and a family, and I'm pretty sure other things are going on, but what is it that makes you get up every day and continue to push?
Yes, absolutely. I love that question, because, it's a couple of different things. So originally I wanted to do this because when I was coming up, a lot of people counted me out. They were just like tossing me to the wayside, and figured that because of my circumstances and the way that I had been brought up, that I was just going to be another hood rat, if you will,
Yeah.
And I really am here to tell people and empower people that it does not matter what your history looked like. It doesn't matter how hard the journey was. If you make up in your mind that you want to be something more, if you want to do something better, and you have that strength and that go-getter about you, that you can definitely do that regardless of what the naysayers have to say about you, regardless of any of those things, because first of all, none of us were here accidentally. And that's something that I firmly believe. I believe that we are all created with a purpose. And even when we were in our mother's womb, God had a purpose and a plan for our lives. And it's just a shame to see so many people get lost in the shuffle of the process of what's happening in their lives, and find themselves giving up on themselves and giving into the drugs and alcohol and sex and all of the things. So I just want to be that beacon of light to let people know that you still can. In the midst of it all, you still can. Because if I am a living witness, I know that the same God who did it for me will do it for you. So that is really my why. I mean, my story is terrible, but on the other side of that, God's light still shines in my life. And here I am today. And I just want to be that motivating factor for other people like myself who have been through the trenches, if you will, and come out on the other side, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, even as you're saying your story is, as you put it, it was terrible, but it's the making of you. It's the caterpillar to the butterfly. Now that we see you with your wings, because so many of us was not with you when you were walking. You know, the caterpillar, I've seen many of them. Sometimes I've even, sometimes you're driving when it's the season. And because you know what they are becoming, many times you would take your vehicle and swerve. Because you don't want to kill its process.
Yes.
And there's a lot of times what God does is he keeps a lot of people out of a lot of chapters of your book that we eventually get to read. So what happens is we come in on the good chapter. So if we're not careful, we won't appreciate the process of Miss Timberlake. And now she's getting booked, and I don't know if you probably have books, and you probably go and travel and get paid to speak, and just got mentorship and mentors and all these great things that people kind of, come into your life and see where you are. But it's up to us, I believe, to fill in the gaps and the blanks. Because when we present ourselves as nothing but positivity, we're actually sending a wrong message. Because it takes all of it. It takes the negative as well as the positive coming together to make us who we are. So would you mind sharing with us maybe a situation in your life when, before you were able to do what you're doing now, that, it was just, I had to make a decision. Either I was going to go that way or I'm going back this way. Would you share one of those times?
Woof, there's so many, but I'm going to choose. Okay. Because my foundation is rooted in God and my belief, with the word of God and all of that. I want to use this example because I know that a lot of people who are suffering from brokenness, they run to the church for help, as did I, and a lot of times what happens in the church is you find yourself in a space where you're looking to be built up only to be torn down. And that's exactly what happened to me in a situation. And I won't go into too much of the nitty gritty of the details, but basically what happened is this situation literally left me wanting to take my own life and just throw in the towel. Because you know what? If God's people can't do it for me, then this is just it, right? Because you go to them and you think that, they are the representation of Christ here on earth, and that they are going to love you in this vulnerable situation where you really need to be built up, and you're really trying to find your footing in the word of God and build that relationship with God for yourself. But then you have people who aren't necessarily seeing the situation for what it is, and they try to, in their own human way, because I don't think that this is any representation of their ministry, but sometimes we're human, right? And we have our own human desires, and sometimes we use that to how it will benefit us instead of understanding how it affects the person in the process. So I had a terrible situation with a church, and this was at the tail end of a very, very bad season of my life that I was going through, where I literally had to say to myself, I was going to choose me and my relationship over God over anything else. I could not, and I no longer could look and think of God as a human form, because humans make mistakes. We're not perfect, nor are we God. We're not God. So a lot of times when you are fatherless or you're broken, you have absent mother and you have your own traumas that you're dealing with, you tend to associate God with these other relationships that you had in your life. And it was time for me to disassociate my relationship with God and who He is, as a being, and Him being the father of my life, from these other father figure or these people who stepped in like a parental guidance for me. Because I actually, my dad, he was out of the picture. I was raised by my mom, who was single, but at the age of 14, she had her last schizophrenia break, and that was it. She couldn't raise me anymore. So I was a childless child, and I had trauma from, just sexual abuse and physical abuse and all of these things. And I went to the church looking for somebody who would love me in the midst of my turmoil. And instead I was taken advantage of and blackmailed, if you will. And at that time I had to decide that, God was going to be this. I had this innocent prayer I want to share that I had growing up. I used to pray, Lord, just hold my hand and don't let go. That was my prayer for I don't even know how many years, because I did not and could not find the words to even ask for all the other things. I just figured, if you just hold my hand, then at least we got that going on. Okay. It's the attachment, right? That I needed. And even though that situation made me question whether or not God was real, it was a pivotal moment in my life where I had to say, I choose me in my relationship with God, me for me. And that's where it was. So hopefully that kind of answered your question without going too far in.
Me stands for my existence.
I love that.
I choose my existence, because again, let's go back to what you said, the trauma. You went to a place expecting help. Then when you got there, you actually did not end up receiving help to a certain extent. It became hurt, blackmail. So what people that do what we do, many times what people need to understand is, because a lot of times people can fall in love with what we do, not who we are and where we have come from. And there's a reason why. There's a culmination of things that brings a person that's been empowered to empower others. They've gone through a lot of disempowerment.
Yes.
And they've had to go through a lot of things. And so it comes to a convergence point where you have to choose my existence, because you will live many other people's lives before you live your own. You may live the trauma life, you may live the rejected life, you may live your unfulfilled mother's life, or the absence of your father, or the person who stayed but they were still present but absent. So there's a lot of things we must unravel before we can reveal.
Yes.
And so a lot of times in settings like this, people will come in and they get excited about the content, but miss the context. It's a context to what she's saying. You can hear, you can just see your passion. You can see your vulnerability. You can tell that you're very genuine about what you do. And I'm pretty sure you speak on a lot of things, but I know that there's a particular message that resonates with your heart that makes no difference what you talk about. It's going to come up. And I would like for that to come up right now, so you can kind of bring us into that space of your heart and your grace.
Absolutely. So I deal with a lot of people who are overcoming trauma. Many bits and pieces of my story do come up, like you said. However, the one centered around domestic violence and really being able to overcome that situation and love myself enough to say I choose me in this situation is one that I speak on the most. And here's the thing about going through domestic violence. Yes, it's physical abuse, but there's all kinds of other abuse. There's verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and all the things. And what I like to tell people is, because there's many reasons why we stay, but what I deal with is the reason, what drew you into that situation. Because for me, it was that lack that I dealt with growing up. It was all of those unfulfilled parent guides and all those unfulfilled need for love, and the lack of confidence within myself after being told that I was never going to be enough. And because this person said the right things at the right time, that was enough for me. So in the time of life when we talk about getting into these relationships, some people will be like, why would you settle for that? But it wasn't settling at the time, because at the time I didn't have it and I didn't know any better. So I talk about that part of my journey all the time, because it's important that people know that in spite of going through these difficult situations, I always tell people your process is preparing you for your purpose, whatever it is, whatever it looks like. I went through the process I went through to get me here today. I wouldn't be able to be an inspirational empowerment life coach today if I hadn't gone through what I went through. So it had to take, and this is retrospect, I had to look at this in hindsight and realize that my experience with the domestic violence was revealing to me what I actually needed to heal and deal with. Because in our community, we go through life and we don't talk about what is happening to us. What's happening in this house needs to stay in this house. And it's that suffering and silence, which is what causes us to stay suffering. And that's exactly what happened to me. It was the suffering and silence. Nobody wanted to say anything about it for fear of embarrassment, not only of myself, but the abuser as well, and things of that nature. So I am just here to tell people that your voice, it matters, okay? And no matter how much people try to silence your voice, it is important that you use that voice to speak whatever it is that is on your heart. Because if we keep things in the closet like I did, what happens is we are driving ourselves right back into the cycle of toxicity that we are trying to run out of. So the point is to break the toxic cycles and to really heal yourself from within, so that you can start to attract people into your spirit and into your space who can actually give you what you need and not actually give you what you're lacking, if that makes sense. So that's a part of my story.
I love it. Listen, have you written any books?
Yes, actually, I published my first book last year called Boundaries Over Brokenness, which is the same name of my business, but that's a memoir of my life that walks you through all of those different scenarios that I've experienced in my life, and brings you right on out to the current and how I overcame. So in this book, it's about empowerment and encouragement, but also giving people the permission that they need to say it is okay to choose me, and that even when I choose me, if I can't see the light of day today, if I just keep taking a step, one step after another. I tell people baby steps, because even a baby has to crawl before they walk, and they walk before they run. So it's those 1, 2, 3. You keep going and you can get on the other side of this. So it's about really my life experience. However, it's about empowering the next woman who picks up my book to actually know that she can do this too. It is absolutely possible. I love that saying, impossible, which actually means I'm possible, because we look at our situation and we say it's impossible to get through this, it's impossible to move forward. But if you break that down and say, I'm possible, I'm worthy, and I'm worth it, just keep going. That's what my story is about. And this year, I'm writing book number 2, which is called I Choose Me, the journey to healing after trauma and abuse. So I'm breaking down several different topics on healing from trauma and abuse, and it's going to take my readers on a step-by-step journey on how they can go through the self-healing on their own. Because I realize in my market of people. We're going to have people who are at different levels, people who can reach out and say they want the one-to-one coaching, which I offer, but some people who are still trying to do it on their own, or some people who just want to do it self-paced and watch a couple videos. So I want to make sure that I have something for every person in their journey, because I don't want anybody to feel excluded, because I know how important this work is and how important it is to do that inner work to heal. So I'm excited about that book. It'll be coming out later this year. I'm putting the final touches on it before it goes over to editing. So that's what I've got going on in the book realm of the world.
Awesome. Congratulations. Now, how can we get your book? Through what outlets? How can we purchase it? And because I know many people are going to want to purchase it and read it and do all kind of Bible studies and conferences and whatever else off of them.
Yes. So you guys can grab your copy of Boundaries Over Brokenness at boundariesoverbrokenness.com/shop. So it's just the name of my company, boundariesoverbrokenness.com/shop is where you can grab your copy. Now, if you order from that website, you will get a signed copy. My book is also available on Amazon. Of course, it's not signed, but you can get it on Amazon as well. So I like to offer that for people as well.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. So many of you that's watching on both of our platforms, if you don't have that book, we want you to grab that copy. Would you please can you put it on the screen some kind of way so that those that maybe didn't hear you, they can go
Absolutely.
to the website. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get my copy also. I'll probably just cash app you or something, have you we'll get it. And, but I want to ask you some questions. And because I know being a life coach, being a pastor, ordained minister, many times it is very difficult, and people may not realize this, for sometimes for us to even follow our own teaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to teach some things, and then when it comes back to you, sometimes it can be challenging, because you have to remind yourself, this is what you told other people to do. Because people tend to think that we're going to just be the person that becomes their empowerment drug.
Yes.
Come on for 30 minutes, give me a shot. When are you going to come back on? I need some more. And don't realize that we have lives too, that the same things we're telling you, we have to live by those particular strategies and principles, because we're real people. Just have a calling on our life, and just so happen to have a platform. And we have chosen me.
Yes.
I love that. My existence. I just came to me when you said that. You can have it. You can use it anytime you get ready.
I love that.
So I want to ask you a few questions, and then you just kind of go off the dome. What? Here, I had one here I wanted to ask you. How much of your history is stopping you from your mystery?
That's good. Okay. How much of my history is stopping me from my mystery? I guess it depends on what mystery, actually. What part of the mystery?
I'll be a little bit more. Okay, I'll say mystery being maybe the thing that you're having the most difficult time dealing with from your past is stopping you from that which is connected to that in your future, the opposite of it.
Yes.
So let's say if it was the fear of public speaking, but let's say your future had a career of you being a multi-millionaire public speaker, or books or traveling, but you're still dealing with maybe, something that happened when you was a kid, somebody told you couldn't speak well or whatever. So,
yep.
All right.
It's interesting that you brought up public speaking as one of them, because that was something that I had to work through before I even would come on social media. Like I said, I was real good at hanging out in the background, one-to-one. We can go real far.
Yeah.
But at first, I am a introvert, and I tend to not like the spotlight in front of me. So that was something that I had to deal with. I took a lot of public speaking classes. I've done a lot with that. But I would say today, it's one of the things that I still work through on the day-to-day is understanding that God has 100% prepared me for my today.
Oh, I
All I
love
need to
that.
do is show up. And my
I love that.
today is preparing me for my tomorrow. See,
I
sometimes
love
we get so excited because I like to tell people we begin with the end in mind, meaning where are we trying to go? Where are we trying to get? So God already gives us the vision, and the vision He gives to us in the beginning because He's trying to give us something to hang on to because
it.
the
Yes, yes,
process
yes.
is always pretty, right? So for me, it's realizing and recognizing, though I may not have all the tools in my handbag for wherever it is He's taking me on this journey, He has absolutely equipped me for my today. So all I
Mm.
need to do is be obedient and show up. But again, that's something that I'm consciously reminding myself of today, because we can get so wrapped up in all the details in the future and miss out on the present. So that's my answer.
Yeah, that was a good answer. That's something you can use because a lot of people, there's a mystery for them, but their history is in the place of their mystery.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And until they understand that, really take that and we're always between two thieves. The present moment is where we should be. We're either in the
mm-hmm.
future, anxiously, or in the past
Yep.
is dead. The future is unborn. The present is right
Yeah,
now. This now
absolutely.
moment. This is where
Mm-hmm.
all possibilities are possible. Is right now.
Absolutely. Right now.
Mm. Woo.
I love
Watch it.
that. Yeah.
Don't start nothing. So my next question is: are you willing to have everything you deserve and desire, and still ask for more?
Mm. Am I willing to have everything I deserve and desire and still ask for more?
Yes.
Mm.
I want to
See,
see where
here's
you
the
are.
thing about, yes, here's the thing about us humans, right? We can reach a level of a peak, right? That we
Mm-hmm.
feel is living our best life, so to speak.
Come on.
And
Yes.
everything is going okay, you're content. But here's the thing about that contentment. Contentment breeds complacency.
Woo.
So when
Come
it
on.
comes to me, even if I reach a level where I've become comfortable, there is still more because I serve a limitless God. And if
Yes.
He's brought me to this level, it's not to just let me plop out right here and hang out, maybe for a
Yeah.
season, but okay, Lord, what's next? How can I be a good servant?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really asking for more per se, because sometimes we think of more as these tangible things: a bigger house,
Yes.
more cars,
Yeah.
more money,
Yeah.
all the things. But no, how can I serve you more? Like, and I really get excited about that. So for me, yes, I can get to a place where I'm content and I have everything I want and desire, but I still, more than any other desire, I want to be a good servant. So, how can I serve you more? How can I praise you more? How can I bring you more glory? And because of that, I'm always going to ask for more.
Okay. So that means that you have no problem with abundance.
Not at all.
You have no problem with abundance because God had a family in heaven that was perfect, but He
Mm-hmm.
still wanted more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything, angels, whatever He needs is there. But the Bible says that the Scripture said, the angel said, "What is man that Thou art mindful of him?
Mm.
That you have crowned him with glory and given him dominion over the works of Thy hands." Even the angels are puzzled. Like, we got everything. We can do just about anything, but yet you still choose them. So
Yes.
even God is not afraid to have more than enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are so many people, the reason why they can't have more than enough is because they don't think they are enough.
Mm. That's so true.
Yeah, they don't think they are enough. So I want to just kind of speak to that. I'll ask you one more question after this, and then we'll kind of probably
Mm-hmm.
try to wrap it up. But
Mm-hmm.
dealing with people, especially when you're an empowerment coach and you're dealing with people's brokenness and you're dealing with trauma, We tend to run into people
Mm-hmm.
who are very rejected, dejected. People have walked through so many different things in life, abandonment. You know, they're angry, they feel lost. Many times they don't feel a part of. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is your go-to? We know God. I know that because you can hear all the passion of God in you. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you really want to achieve that, trying to get that person to that breakthrough, what have you seen is consistent with the grace on your life that genuinely is consistently works when you get to
Yeah.
that place with a person that don't think they're enough?
Yeah, that's so good. When it comes to dealing with somebody who has been feeling that they're not enough, maybe even told that they're not enough, first of all, we have to realize the power of our words. So a lot of things that I go through with my clients, it really boils down to circling back to the facts. Because here's the thing about the way we think. 90% of our thinking is subconscious and 10% of it is conscious, which means that we have to make a very strong effort to be conscious beings. And when it comes to um, program or changing the way that we think of ourselves to become worthy, feeling like we're worthy
Mm-hmm.
beings, it really requires us to, first of all, um, identify what the issue is. What is triggering this kind of thought? Because a lot of times this thought isn't just a thought that popped into your mind. It's not a conscious thought. It's a
Absolutely.
subconscious thought. So we have to understand what is the trigger. Once we identify what the trigger is, then we figure out what are the facts around the trigger. And then number three, we work through that step by step,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what it is, so that we can start to reframe the way we think of each other, or of ourselves, excuse me. But here's the thing: you have to make sure that it's repetition, repetition, repetition. I tell my
Yes.
clients all the time, we go 3 layers deep. That's identifying what the trigger is, what are the facts around the trigger, and then doing the work to heal the trigger. And
Mm.
it's really in a cycle of 3. It's really simple to remember, because once we can start to pinpoint the facts, because a lot of these anxieties, these mistrusts, the
Mm-hmm.
guilt, the shame
Yes.
is not our own. It's something that has been subconsciously embedded into us, either because of your process, so the trauma, the abuse, or make just the way you were you were brought up.
Mm.
All of those different things are triggering us to respond to a specific situation in that way. So we have to start to create our own story. And I started to create my own story by doing the 3 layers deep, by really investigating what is causing this trigger and dealing with it head on. So once I identify what the trigger is, what are the facts around that trigger? And then number 3 is actually dealing with reframing that trigger in a way that is based on our today and not our yesterday. As life coaches, we visit the past only to get whatever it is we need, but we don't stay there. We're all about forward momentum. We're all about moving past this to get you to a place where your future is bright, where your future is greater, and ultimately, back to your question, where you are feeling like you are worthy, you are confident, and you know that this is you're in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing. So hopefully that answers the question.
Listen. How much is a session with you? If I wanted a 30-minute, 40-minute, 50-minute, hour session, you know, how do you do your sessions?
Yes, absolutely. So I tell my clients, I mean, my service is set up. You cannot have me for less than 10 weeks. In 10 weeks, we meet once weekly for 1 hour to about an hour and 10-ish. And
Okay.
each of those sessions, so it's $2,000 for the whole 10 weeks together.
I got you.
And in addition to those sessions, you get unlimited support to me through Voxer. I don't know if you guys have heard of Voxer, but here's the difference. When you're dealing with people who are overcoming these kinds of things like trauma and abuse, what makes me different from therapy, because a lot of people will always say, well, what's the difference between you and therapy? First of all, I have a background in education and psychology, so yes, I can go there if I need to. But what's different about me is when you leave your therapy appointment, you don't have access to somebody who's going to help you walk through those real life situations and those real life triggers. So I offer my clients that boxer support so that when they are getting to a point where they're trying to build themselves up, they know that they're not in this walk alone. And that ultimately gives them the best transformation, because a lot of it is us walking this walk together. But then about 3-4 weeks into it, what I find with all of my clients is that they're starting to have these conversations with themselves. They're starting to walk themselves through the process. And that is my goal, to give them tools that they can use far beyond our 10 weeks together, but something that is going to help them stay on the path to going up instead of staying stagnant.
I love that. I love that. Keep talking. If you would, please. I'm going to have to just keep talking about what you do and what you're offering. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, awesome. Absolutely. So you guys, if you guys didn't catch the beginning of the video, I am a boundaries and leadership coach. And what I do is I have been called in purpose to help women heal the fragmented parts of themselves. A part of my own journey is that I grew up with a mother who was schizophrenic. I have suffered from rape, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, all the kinds of abuse, you name it, I've been through it. And ultimately, my purpose here is to really help to elevate and encourage women on their path to healing. This is a hashtag I choose me journey. Why? Because we are choosing to take our lives into our own hands and do what is necessary to become the women that we have always been, in spite of the journey, because we know that the devastation is the transportation to the destination. Like, I cannot say that enough. The devastation is the transportation to your destination. But we have to be able to get over the hump of devastation, because what happens is, I like to call this living our life on repeat. When we don't actually work through what needs to be worked through as far as the devastation, what happens is you get triggered, and your triggers are taking you right back to where you came from. So we have to really work through it. It's not something we can go over, but we got to go through it, heal from it, so we can move on, because we're going to use that devastation as the transportation that we need to get us to where we're going, which is the destination. So that is me. That's what I do. That is how I empower the women that I work with. And it's been really, really successful. As I mentioned, I've done this unofficially for a long time. I've held leadership jobs in corporate America. And what I found was, this was before the pandemic, is that I would be having my one-on-ones with the people who were my direct reports, and we would spend 10% of the time talking about metrics or whatever it is, business related stuff. And then 90% of the time, I found myself mentoring them, encouraging them, and helping them to be the version of themselves that they needed to be, because I realized as a leader that you can't do the job that I need you to do if your world outside of this job is falling apart. So I took it upon myself to really elevate people in that space in corporate America. This is what I was doing, and that's why I say unofficially, but a lot of the people came to me, even people who didn't even report to me would come to me, because my secret sauce was simply just being who I was and actually having that ear to listen and that concern for the person's heart. I know the work needs to be done, but if you are not stable, then neither can the work that I need you to do. So it was a 360 view that I had to have, a panoramic view of my people, and that's what led me into doing full-time coaching.
Wow.
So that's me.
Look, I want to know right now at this moment, because I feel that in this moment there's someone. Don't be afraid of 10 weeks, $2,000. Listen, if that's what you heard, you missed the point. You missed the whole point. God has graced her and given her a mind, have given her a skill that we have to realize something, that God graces people for certain things. And in this moment, there's somebody that's watching this. You're not watching this by accident. We didn't do this by accident. This is divine destiny. This was predestined. This day was already ordered before we ever got here. Because there's someone that's watching. Listen, you need to reach out to Crystal right now. You need to get her name. You need to go to her inbox. You need to talk to her. Just me knowing her heart. Listen, she's been in corporate America. She's a businesswoman. She's going to do business. But I know she's a godly woman. If you come on there, maybe go talk to her, tell her your situation. I don't know your situation, but maybe there's something else that maybe she can offer you, or just redirect you somewhere. But do not hear this and don't do anything. Okay? Because I tell people, Crystal, God don't fix our lives. I know that kind of throws people back. He don't fix our lives. No. What God does is wait on you to come Work with what he's already given you, and then he'll
Mm-hmm.
get in there and work with you. But he's not going to work for you.
Yes. We got to
But he
do the
will
work.
work with you. And many times our prayer ends up being God sends a person
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that can help us. So many of you, you're watching this, $2,000 for 10 weeks. Listen, people, there are people who will get that in one visit, one weekend. People charging
Mm-hmm.
$30,000, $40,000, and they sell out. So don't hear
Mm-hmm.
that. Don't let that. That's what I was talking about. That abundance consciousness. If you really,
Mm-hmm.
really want to do something, the money will show up.
Yes.
It'll show up, but you have to make the commitment to your commitment
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
choose my existence. And here's
Yeah.
another one, Krista. I also choose my exit. Ooh.
Ooh, yes. Woo, that's good.
Watch out.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love
I,
it. And
I
that's so
choose
true.
I choose my exit. So what would you say to someone who, their mind right now is saying, God, she's speaking my language. I know I need to do this, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm going to do it. What
Mm-hmm.
would you tell them right now that need to reach out and for your
Yes.
services?
Let me just share this little story with you guys that I had to come to the own realization myself. So this was a personal struggle because sometimes we get in this mindset that that's too much money. I can just do this myself. Well, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
tell you guys, doing this myself kept me stuck, spinning my wheels for 10 whole years, a decade of my life that I wasted because I failed to use the resources that God had already placed in my pathway. He had been setting up my exit. He had been setting up what I needed for so long, and I would just keep passing it by, thinking, oh, I can just tune into a live, or when they do something free, I could just get what I need. But here's the thing that about us really investing in ourselves. When we start to invest in ourselves, it not only gives us a reward on the end, right? It's like sowing and reaping. But what we also get is we feel vested in what it is we've invested ourselves in. Get it? Vested is in the word investment. But when we have that vested interest in our own transformation, it gives us, we have a liability on stand. It gives us the ability to actually do the work that we need to get the transformation we need in our lives. But as long as you're standing by the sidelines, watching everybody else grow, heal, and get what it is that they want in life, then what happens is you get left behind and you're left on the sidelines looking looking at everybody else win. So it is so important that you guys know that the investment is only a part of what you need to do in order to get to where you're going. The investment is only a piece of the puzzle. Once you invest, what you do is you open up the doors, you open up the floodgates of what it is that needs to happen in your life, what it is you have been called to do in your life, and what it is that is on the other side of your exit. You're exiting one season of your life and you are entering into a new beginning, a new a new world. And what we need to do is, I tell my clients all the time, what we are doing is learning how to disassociate ourselves with the old us. No longer am I broken. No longer am I depressed. No longer am I a victim, but now I am a victor. I am an overcomer. I am here. I am a conqueror. Because what happened? You have conquered what it is that has set out to tear you down.
Mm-hmm.
So investing in yourself isn't about the money. It is about what is on the other side of that. It is about who you are becoming. So no longer are we looking at the past, but we're looking at where we are going. So that is my story to you guys. I struggle, like I said, making it a priority in my life to invest in myself because I thought that I could just do it myself. Don't be like me. Don't waste a decade of your life on nothing. Because I thought I could just read the books and just do the work, but there was no accountability. There was nobody to help me walk through the times where I had got stuck, because you will reach a point where you can't process beyond, because we only know what we know, because if we knew it all, we wouldn't be where we are today. But if you have somebody to partner with you on this journey and help you to process the areas that may be a little gray to you and get you over that hump, what happens is you become greater, you become smarter, and guess what? You yourself might become a coach one day, because you're going to get that transformation, and it's going to be a light bulb moment for you. And I've seen it happen. I've witnessed it. So that's me.
Wow.
Hopefully that answers the question. And welcome back. We had lost you for a second, but you're back.
I know. I just want you to flow, because I really feel strongly that people are looking for something, and God sends, it's not always going to come through a preacher per se, or an evangelist or something of that nature. There are people like you who have done the work, went to school, paid the price, got the knowledge. You got fruit behind your name. All the clients that you've helped, success stories. And oftentimes people will miss it. They will miss it because it's not packaged the way they dreamed it up. This is a moment. I'm looking. There are many I'm looking at on mine. There are many of you on here. You said you only offer 10-week courses, right? Just 10 weeks?
That is my base service. But if you guys need something else, reach out to me in the DMs, because I'm not going to say that it's take it all or nothing. That's not the kind of coach I am, because again, I have a heart to help. I have a heart to serve. But I would really like to get on, a call with you guys individually if you need help, and let's figure out what is best for you. Now, I do tell people 10 weeks is kind of the minimum, but I've had clients work with me for a year, a couple of months, it depends on what you need. And it doesn't have to be weekly, it can be bi-weekly. And we can talk about what that looks like for you as well.
Okay, then. Well, I hope this I'm looking on here. I would like for you guys to give me a thumbs up. I want to see who's going. Number one, purchase her books. Number two, go be her friend. While you're on, I want you to go and friend her, follow her, because she's got some powerful information on her page and consistent positivity. Also, I want you to reach out to her, at least give a call and see how that can be a blessing to you, what you can work out. Like I said, you never know how things can go until you at least get up and make a move. But don't sit there and let your situation talk you out of a revelation.
Yes.
Because you just don't know. When people see that you try, guess what? It moves their heart sometimes. But listen, they'll come on there with their cheap stuff. They'll come here with no deals and all that. If that's what God put on her heart, then let her. But you come, be honest about where you are, who you are, and let's see what the Holy Spirit will do. Because I don't believe anything happens haphazardly. And I read a quote one time that says, coincidence is just God remaining anonymous.
I like that.
Yeah. So when you see things of this nature, you tuned in, it's because God wants to speak to your heart. You can tell that she's well in depth in her subject. That's you don't need any more broadcast. You can tell just by this that that Crystal knows what she's talking about. She's a Christian, thank God, because we got a lot of people who do this work, but they're not Christ-centered. I'm not knocking that, but hey, this is a bonus. What, Steve Harvey probably got $100 million plus. He still has a life coach because he's still growing.
Yes.
So what about you? What about me? And so having said that, I know I'm gonna hold more time. You've been such an awesome guest, and just for me to sit and listen to the depth of knowledge that you have. Listen, I don't know where you've been. I don't know how much money you made, but all that's about to change, because you are a voice, not just in the wilderness, but to the wounded.
Yes.
Yeah, and God's going to use your voice as a healing balm, as he's already, but I can see where it's about to be multiplied to you. I can even see, I don't know if you do it, maybe you do, even doing group rates where maybe girls get-togethers where it's 5 or more, 10 or more. Just really empowering women all over this country.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm in agreement with your vision. I'm in agreement with what you're believing
Thank
for,
you.
the resources you need. And I'm just going to go ahead and speak. I'm believing for you some type of big winner, like these big traveling with your name on it, put your face on it. You can go from city to city and have your equipment with you, your team, and you can do shows. And hey, God's going to set you up. I mean,
Thank you. Yes, yes, absolutely. I receive it. I receive it. I receive it. I'm going to tell you guys, like I said earlier, we begin with the end in mind because God gives us a vision. And even before he asked me to walk off my full-time job in the middle of a pandemic to write a book and start a business,
Wow.
he had given me a vision that was larger than life. And I'm just like, me? Never. Never. But you know, God, he's a good God, and he is not a man that he shall lie. So he's going to keep his promises. And just like you said, some of the things you've mentioned are confirmation to what is a part of the vision. So I appreciate it and I receive it. I receive it. And I'm just going to be, you know, here walking out my purpose, being obedient in the meantime.
Absolutely. I love it. So hopefully people are starting to hit you up in your inbox. They're starting to friend you.
Yes.
I want them, please let me know because whoever signs up, how much is the first session?
The first session that we have is complimentary. It's just a simple get to know me and I get to know you. And I want you to feel comfortable. I don't want anybody to sign up and pay for something that they feel isn't going to be beneficial to them. So that first session is absolutely complimentary.
What about the second session? If they decide they want to go with, how much is that one?
$200. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they give me, it's one session plus a full week of support, support, you know, through Boxer.
Whoever signs up, if they do the second, if they make it to the second session, I will pay 100 of the two.
Okay.
I will sow it into them because I want to sow into their ability to choose me.
Okay. So when you guys are coming, make sure you say that you are referred through Pastor Jenkins here, so we know that you get that discount. All right. I want to make sure you guys get that discount. I don't want it to be anything standing in your way that is preventing you from really choosing you or getting to your exit, my exit. This is what it's all about. When more importantly, my existence. I really love that you said it's about your existence and choosing your existence. I always tell people we are choosing to set healthy boundaries over being broken. That's what boundaries over brokenness means. Meaning I choose me. So please let me know. And again, DM is the best for me if you guys are here, and make sure you send me a friend request because I'm always busy doing something, going live somewhere, talking about something, and I'm sure it'll bless you.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, it's been a pleasure. And I know we're going to do some more. And I may even talk to you about doing something even with our women's group. Just we'll work something out. I'll get with you about doing something because I want people to know who you are. I want to push what you're doing because we need it. We just come out of a pandemic. We're still in the middle of a pandemic to a certain extent. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of grief. A lot of loss. A lot of people are lost in their thinking. They really don't know how this thing is going to go. They're looking for a sense of normalcy, which will never be again. Not that normal you knew. There'll be a new normal.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't really realize that they can afford it. They just have to choose themselves. And you can afford it because if you can have $1,000 phone and pay a $500 car note.
Yes.
You can afford personal growth.
Absolutely.
A job will make you a living. It'll make you a living. But your purpose and your destiny will let's see, what's the quote? Oh my goodness. Isaac. A job will make you a living, but your destiny will pay you for a lifetime. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll pay you for a lifetime. So a lot of times people are stuck because they don't know how to choose me. I want that book. When you get that book, I want you to make sure, let me know when it drops. And,
this book, this Boundaries Over Broken. Oh, the I Choose Me. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I got you. It's going to be, you'll see. It'll be posted pre-sale soon. So,
okay. Cool. You want to close us out?
Yes. Well, thank you guys for all tuning in. It's been an amazing discussion. I see all of your comments here on the side, and I'm going to go back and make sure that I respond to each of you guys because I'm huge on engagement and getting to know my audience. It's not just about me. I'm here to serve you. So any way that I can do that, you know, I'm open to it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time.
Absolutely, Chris. I'll be in touch.
All right.